The snowstorm had blanketed the town in silence. Ice clung to the edges of windows, and winds howled down empty streets like forgotten cries from the past. Inside a dimly lit diner on the edge of town, a man stood behind the counter, wiping down tables that hadn't seen customers in hours. His hands were cracked from years of labor, and his apron bore stains from 1,000 meals served with love. He turned toward the entrance as the bell above the door jingled faintly. And there they were, 2 shivering children, soaked, starving, and scared, faces pressed against the glass like ghosts of poverty. That moment would change everything. And yet, the man had no idea that one simple act of kindness on that cold winter day would echo across decades. 22 years later, a glistening black Rolls-Royce would pull up in front of that very same hotel, no longer a rundown diner, but a place of healing, warmth, and legacy. What happened in between is a story of pain, sacrifice, and redemption that you will never forget. If you believe that kindness can change a life, that second chances matter, and that even the smallest good deed can return 100-fold, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Let's spread the power of compassion together. James Whittaker never planned on staying in that town. He had dreams once, of becoming a chef in a bustling city, of owning a cozy restaurant where music floated through the air like laughter. But life had different plans. After his mother passed and his younger sister fell into addiction, James dropped everything to care for his baby niece. With bills piling up and his dreams slipping further away each day, he took a job as a waiter and cook at a worn-down roadside diner. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. And in a town where faces passed like fog, James's presence became a quiet anchor, someone who remembered names, who listened without judgment, and who served not just food, but dignity. It was during one particularly brutal winter that he saw them, a boy around 11 and a girl barely 6. They huddled together outside the diner door, clothes thin and torn, eyes wide with the kind of fear only abandonment can teach. James felt something pierce through him, not pity, but recognition. He had been them once, after his father vanished and hunger became a regular visitor in their home. Without a second thought, he opened the door, waved them in, and set down 2 bowls of soup so hot they made the windows steam. He didn't ask for their names, didn't press with questions. He simply said, "Eat. You're safe here." The boy, cautious at first, broke a piece of bread and handed half to his sister. Her tiny hands trembled as she clutched the spoon. James watched from a distance, eyes moistening. Over the next hour, the children devoured the food, their silence speaking louder than words. James packed up extra sandwiches, slipped a 20 into the bag, and told them they could come by any time. They never did. That night, he waited until closing, staring at the door every few minutes. But the next morning, and the morning after that, they were gone. Still, the image of their faces remained with him, haunting, hopeful, and unfinished. Years passed. James kept working. The diner, once struggling, began to change. Locals started coming not just for the food but for the man who remembered their birthdays, who checked in on their sick relatives, who cooked for families who couldn't afford meals. When the owner decided to retire, James pooled every penny he had, took out a risky loan, and bought the place. He renamed it Whittaker's Haven. It wasn't just a restaurant anymore. It became a shelter during storms, a warm place for those without homes, a community kitchen on holidays. James still wore his apron, still cooked every dish with the same quiet grace, but now, it was his kitchen, his vision. But James's life wasn't without pain. His niece, whom he raised like a daughter, struggled through high school, faced depression, and eventually left for college on a scholarship, only to cut off contact for years. He never stopped writing to her. Every birthday, every Christmas, he sent a letter and a gift, praying she was okay. Nights were often lonely, his body weary, his heart heavy with regrets. And yet, he never lost hope. Hope was all he had. Then, one crisp morning, 22 years after that snowy night, James was preparing the kitchen before dawn when a low hum echoed outside. He peered through the frosted window. Parked directly in front of the hotel was a Rolls-Royce, sleek, black, and almost out of place in their humble town. The door opened, and out stepped a sharply dressed young man with a confident posture and familiar eyes. Beside him, a woman in a crimson coat with golden brown hair stepped lightly on the snow-covered pavement. James's heart paused. Could it be? The man walked into the diner-turned-hotel with reverence, scanning every inch as though it were sacred ground. When he spotted James, he smiled, a slow, trembling smile that broke into tears. "You probably don't remember us," he said softly. "But you saved our lives." The woman stepped forward, now crying. "I was the girl in the purple hoodie. You gave us soup. And safety. We never forgot." James stood frozen, the weight of recognition crashing into him. The young man continued, "My name is Elijah. My sister, Anna, and I were in the foster system for years after that. But that one act of kindness? It stayed with us. It gave us hope. It gave us a reason to survive." Elijah had become a tech entrepreneur, his company now among the top startups in the country. Anna, a pediatric surgeon, had built a program to provide free care to underserved children. Both had dedicated their lives to lifting others, all inspired by a single, quiet act of grace. "We searched for you for years," Anna said, voice shaking. "And now, we want to give something back." Outside, the townsfolk gathered as Elijah handed James a set of keys. The Rolls-Royce wasn't just a symbol of wealth. It was a symbol of full-circle gratitude. But that wasn't all. They also handed him a letter confirming that they had paid off his remaining debts, and committed a $2 million donation to Whitaker's Haven to expand into a community outreach center. James, overwhelmed, fell into their arms, tears falling like rain on snow. The town cheered, but more than that, they wept. Because they had always known James's worth. And now, the world knew it too. If this story touched your heart, please consider liking the video, sharing it with someone who needs hope, and subscribing to Kindness Corner. Let's remind the world that no act of kindness is ever wasted, and that love, in the end, always finds its way home. Special request, tell us in the comments, what's the kindest thing a stranger ever did for you? Your story might inspire someone else today.